Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kim Santos if you're new, and today's video is an actually very exciting one that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Today I'm going to be doing Portuguese makeup versus American. I've seen this video idea done by Chris and Dominique. She did French versus American, American versus Korean, just to name a few of them, and also another YouTuber I love, Yuki, recreated American versus African makeup. So this inspired me to do Portuguese versus American. Although I am not American, I am Canadian. Since Canada and America's makeup trends are pretty much exactly the same, there's really no difference. We'll clump American into North America. Everyone always asks me what my ethnicity is, and I'm proudly Portuguese. From what I see my relatives wear for makeup, to people I've seen on television, photos of celebrities, and all that great stuff. Before I get started with this video, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. Agora nós vamos filmar português versus Americano maquiagem. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I can understand everything. Speaking, it needs a little bit of a tweak. So I've already prepped and primed my skin for all the makeup. The first step is going to be eyebrows. That's usually just what I do in my routine. But once again, this is the American side and this is the Portuguese side. So I'm gonna start off with the Portuguese side. I find that they don't do bold brows or they don't do any extreme carving and shaping. They just keep their brows really natural, fill in what they have, and keep that like feathery volume look, but they don't go intense with it. I'm just gonna naturally fill in my shape or what I have of my shape. So for that, I'm just gonna grab my micro brow pencil from NYX, and I'm going to fill in my brow just as it is, like the shape, and just make sure I'm brushing the hairs as well. I just concealed a little bit of like the acne I had going on, like the little redness and scars. So now we're gonna move over to the American side. Now, brows are an essential in American makeup. Girls love to carve their brows, create different brow trends like wavy brows, braided brows, just anything. Brows, it's the centerpiece of a lot of makeup looks. I'm just gonna do what I usually do when I wanna make my brows look really like sharp and defined. Nothing too crazy because I'm not a crazy brow person. Fill them in and carve them out and make them look snatched. Okay, to do that, I'm going to be using my Anastasia Dip Brow in the shade Dark Brown. So I'm just starting a line all the way from the top of the brow and extending it back to my arch. These brows need to scream on fleek. Does people even say fleek anymore? Like, is that a slang word? Let me know. But I'm gonna do that as well to the top of my brow. So now I'm just gonna quickly carve the brow, shape it to what I want it to look like, and really define it. Just using the MAC paint pot in soft ochre. I'm going underneath the brow. So the American brow is done. We are carved, we are snatched, we are full. And we're gonna move on to the eyeshadow. So for eyeshadow, I'm just going to be using the Soft Glam palette just because I know that both looks can be created with it and it's gonna complement both sides really nicely. Now for the eyeshadow, some women wear only like a little bit during the day, just like a color in the crease, something maybe shimmery on the lid, or even just a complete matte look. While sometimes if they wanna go in the evening, they'll smoke it up a little bit on like the lash line and then maybe do like a little bit of smokiness in the outer corner, but nothing too intense. They really like their natural beauty to come out and not go too intense with like trends and full glam. So I'm just gonna make sure I prep my eye with the soft ochre paint pot. So I'm just gonna zoom you guys in for this portion of the video. So I'm just gonna take soft brown, I always use this shade from MAC Cosmetics, and I'm going to put that slightly in the crease. And what I've noticed too as well is they keep their makeup and their shadows really close to the eye. They don't smoke out and blend everything all over the eye. They really like to keep it precisely on that lid and that crease area and not expand farther out, if that makes sense. They like to keep it very neat and tidy with their shadows. Now from the Soft Glam palette, I'm just going to take Orange Soda and I'm going to put that again in the crease. And then now with a smaller blending brush, I'm going to take Burnt Orange and dab that in there and just kind of focus that on the corners of the eye. Like when I watch telenovelas with my ava, I find the women in the shows either have no makeup and they're completely flawless, but of course, like, they're in telenovelas. Like, hello, they look perfect because it's a TV show and not real. Even though the drama in those shows, in some Portuguese families, it's real. And then on the same brush, I'm going to take Rustic and just dip into that and then darken up that crease just to make it a little bit more smoky. And then I'm going to slightly dab into glistening and put that all over the lid, just to give that little bit of sheen. Nothing too intense, I just want to softly put it on the lid. So the Portuguese side is done. Now we're going to move over to the American. So American makeup definitely just has more of those intense glam looks, more smoky all over the lid, and like the shadow expands out instead of being really close to the just the lid area. Cut creases are really popular too. Halo eyes, I think I'm just gonna do a half cut crease and really define it and smoke it all out and make it really glam. Just intense, full-on beat glam. I'm just using soft brown again on this brush just to quickly put throughout my crease. Just doing the regular. I'm just taking this all throughout that crease area from the inner corner all the way out. I'm just going to take Burnt Orange again from the palette and I'm going to start to deepen out that crease so we can make it really smoky. I'm not afraid to take the color other than the crease area, just blending that everywhere. I'm going to go use Rustic once again and really start to put that on the crease. Right in that like deep V, like that C shape. Now I want to take Cypress Umber, this dark brown shade, and I'm really gonna intensify that once more. Really want to make it smoky on the outer corners. So I'm pretty happy with the matte shadows. I'm gonna cut the crease, like do a half cut crease, and then put a shimmer on the lid. I'm just gonna cut it with the MAC Booker Paint Pot. Then I'm gonna go over that cut crease with the shade Fairy. It's just another shimmer. And just pat it in there. And quickly, I'm just gonna blend over that Cypress Umber shade. So that is it for the shadow. Now we're gonna move on to the base. So for foundations, I think what I'm gonna do for the American side is do a complete full coverage like I normally would. I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty foundation. And then on the Portuguese side, I want it to be radiant because I find that they don't usually do like a full coverage. If anything, they layer their makeup, but they make sure it mimics the skin. It's gonna have a lot of shine to it. They wanna look radiant, glowy, because just the weather there and like the vibe of Portugal, just glowy, bronzy skin is what they love. So we're gonna start with the Portuguese side. I'm gonna be using the Pro Glow from L'Oreal. This is one of my favorite foundations of all time. I love the way it sits on the skin, and it's definitely gonna give me that radiance, and you can build up the coverage to be medium to full. We wanna look like we're wearing makeup, but at the same time, we want our skin to show through. My mom and dad grew up in Portugal, like born and grew up, and then they came over to Canada when they were like young adults, and then built our family, met each other, got married, and yeah, reason why I'm here. But yeah, being Portuguese is a really big part of my life. I can understand a lot of it, slang terms that are like new, not really, but it's just talking sometimes is a little bit difficult. I want to brush up on my Portuguese for sure, because You know, my grandparents always talk to me in Portuguese, and sometimes my mom when she's mad, a lot of the time. But yeah, so now we're moving over to the American side. Full coverage, no imperfections showing through. We want Photoshop skin, which is not a bad thing. You know, something that's gonna even out the skin, nothing too heavy on the skin, but we want that coverage. Like you can totally tell, like this side is definitely more of like a satin matte, not as dewy as the Portuguese side, where it looks kind of more of that luminescence. So now it's time for concealing. In Portuguese makeup, you know, hiding the blemishes, like little spots on the face, just to kind of even out the skin. Nothing too intense, so I'm just gonna take my Tarte Shape Tape and just put a little bit underneath the eye and kind of cover up my little acne scars or like spots where I have acne, and just do a little bit under the eye. That's pretty good. That's a little bit in my opinion. And I have a little bit of problems on the brow here. And then maybe just a little bit on the nose. Portuguese people are just so naturally pretty. And just like the TV stars, like one of my favorite Portuguese celebrities is Luciana Arves. And Arves or Arves? Correct me if I'm wrong. She used to play Flotabella, and Flotabella was like my favorite telenovela when I was like a young girl. Everyone in my family would like huddle around and watch this soap opera, and it was so good. I loved it. It was my favorite. Oh, I miss those days. But yeah, I loved that show. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but that was the good stuff. Portugal has so much to offer. Like, hey, we have Ronaldo. Now we have a Euro Cup under our belt. Pastel natas. It's like a pastry. It has custard in the middle. The top is kind of burnt over, and then it's just a flaky pastry all around. So good. I have not met one person where I didn't offer them, or a friend of mine, or someone I met that we talked about Portuguese food and they did not like it, okay? They're good, especially in Portugal. Or os bolos de Berlim. It's like a big donut covered in sugar, and then it has like a yellow cream inside, like a custard once again. Ugh. I love Portuguese food. I love learning about cultures and like sharing mine with other people, and just, I'm proud to be Portuguese. So now moving on to the American side. A lot of people like to highlight the underneath of the eye with concealer, brighten it up, you know, and once again, we want that flawless finish, full coverage all the way. So I'm gonna take a lighter shade of Shape Tape, draw a couple lines. I'm gonna do one down the nose, on the forehead, on the chin. I'm gonna take the regular color I use. This is light medium, yep. And I'm just gonna go in between that line so it's not too intense of a bright eye. Then blend it out. So now we're gonna move on to contouring and baking. Now for the Portuguese side, I'm just gonna lightly kind of use a finishing powder underneath the eye to set it. Nothing too intense, we're not gonna bake, because that will definitely give us that kind of full coverage. And once again, for the 100th time, more of that natural beauty from within. So I'm just gonna sweep that finishing powder underneath the eye, kind of just powder all over in those areas, just to give a smooth finish to the look. And then we're gonna bronze. So I find that they really love bronzy skin, and contouring definitely, but I think I'm just gonna bronze the skin, not do any extreme contouring, just keeping that natural vibe. So just to bronze the skin, I'm going to use a Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. So now onto the American side, I'm going to cream contour. I really want to kind of build a really nice and sharp contour. Just gonna put a little bit of the product on those areas. And then blend out these stitches. And then now I'm going to take a cooler powder from this Instamark Filter Duo from Marc Jacobs. I'm just gonna go over that cream contour. Now I'm going to bake the side of my face. I'm going to bake the contour, bake the underneath of the eye to make it even more bright. Just pack on that powder. and then underneath the jawline. And then I'm just gonna let that bake for a moment. I'm gonna dust off that powder. Areas are definitely brighter. So now moving back to the eyes, I'm gonna finish them up and do some liner and lashes. So now, starting with the Portuguese side, I feel like, obviously I've seen wings done, but I think what I wanna do is what I see most of the time, which is like using a soft brown liner or like a light black and putting like that kohl liner in the waterline slightly and on the lash line and then smoking it out for that nice sultry, soft look. And then using a nice light pair of lashes and then some mascara. So I'm just taking this brown eyeliner from MAC. Just gonna put that on my waterline, the lower lashes. I hate doing the waterline. I don't know if it's just me, but ooh. And then I'm gonna take Rustic from the Soft Glam palette and then put it against the liner to smoke it out. So now I'm just waiting for the lash to dry. It's a very thin lash. So now we're gonna try to land the airplane that is this lash. And then while that lash glue is completely drying, I'm just gonna merge the fake ones, the fake lashes with my real ones with some mascara. And then also just coat the bottom. So now moving over to the American side, I'm gonna do a wing, just like a little wing, nothing too intense. I feel like it'll complement the look really nicely. And then also nice, bold, fake lashes. And then the lash I'm going to be using for the American side is from House of Lashes in the style Starlit. Great. And then on the American side, on the lower lash line, I put Rustic and Burnt Orange together, smoked it out just a tad bit, and then some mascara. So now I'm gonna move on to the blush, highlight, and lips. I'm just going to put a little bit of this coral shade on the Portuguese side. I'm gonna kind of bring it to the apples of the cheek, building up that blush color. I'm using the Peach Pop blush from Clinique. And then now moving on to the American side, I'm going to take the Take Me Home duo from Patrick Starr's Spring Collection with MAC. And I'm gonna slightly dab that, just a little bit of that color and bring it back into the contour. Just want a little bit, nothing too intense. So now for highlighter, like I've been saying this whole time, I find that Portuguese makeup has that beautiful glow to it, nothing too sparkly or definitely like intense shiny, just like a nice overall glow. What I'm going to do is take the Fenty Beauty highlighter, the Killawatt highlighter, in Mean Money and Hustle Baby, but I'm gonna put Mean Money all over the cheeks, a little bit on the temple, and just give it a soft glow. Nothing too crazy. Now moving over to the American side of things, I'm going to be using the Artist Couture highlighters. These ones are really intense. They're loose pigment, so they're very sparkly and just really bring that highlight. And this is in the shade Illuminati. So now the final step is the lips. So what I'm going to do with the Portuguese side is use the lip liner Soar. This is kind of something that really matches my lips already. The lips I've noticed are really frosty, always glossy, and just really pink and neutral. That kind of did rhyme. But anyways, I'm just gonna take Soar and line the lips. And no overlining, just kind of filling in where my natural lips are. And then now I'm taking the Buxom lip gloss in White Russian. Dabbing that on. So that's that side completed. Now we're gonna move over to the American. What I'm going to do is make a really beigey brown nude lip on this side. I'm gonna keep it glossy because I've been seeing gloss come back, especially in like an American makeup. Overlined lips, a nice glossy finish to them, and I'm going to be using the colored Strip Down from MAC in a lip liner. Then on top of that lipstick liner, I'm going to use the Grande Lips Hydrating Lip Plumper in the shade Barely There. Okay guys, and this is the completed look of Portuguese makeup versus American makeup. I had fun filming this video. It's really nice just to like kind of go back to my ethnicity, my culture, and how I grew up and create this video. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this video for a while. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And like always, remember, sub it if you love it. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.